Hey, this is Captain Chris Myers of Central Florida Sight Fishing Charters. And if you've watched my beginner basic fly casting video, now you're probably wondering is where do I go from here? What's step number 2? How do I improve my casting, and what else can I do with it? So the next thing we want to do is be able to increase the distance that we're casting. So if you're working with 25 to 30 feet of line, you're making your candy cane shaped loop and you're getting it to lay out straight in front of you. Now we want to get to where we can say reach 50 feet of line. And how we're going to do that is to shoot line through the guides and out the tip of the rod. So the first thing we need to do is peel off some additional line, either onto the ground, into a basket, which comes off the reel to begin with. And here I have some stripped off in front of me. I'm just going to let it lay on the grass. We're never ever going to cast line and have it come off the spool like we do with a conventional fishing rod or reel. We always pull the line off first. We're going to hold the line in between our thumb and forefinger, and wherever this reel goes as I move it back and forth, my left hand holding the line is going to follow it. So as I make my false cast, my hand follows my reel. So we already know our basic stroke. It's up, out, follow through, up, out, follow through. The next thing we're going to do is on that final stop, before we follow through, I'm going to open up my fingers, let go of that line, but I'm going to keep control of it by holding it in between my thumb and forefinger as an additional guide. I'm going to allow that loop to pull the line up off the ground. Now the more aerodynamic and the more energy efficient and the better the shape of that loop, the more line we'll be able to pull out. If it's a big wide open loop, you might be able to pull out only a foot or two or maybe none at all. If it's a nice narrow aerodynamic loop, you'll be able to pull up 15, 20 feet maybe. So the more line, the better we can make our loops, the better we can shoot that line. So I'm going to do one by keeping my hand open so you can watch it slide. So I'm going to false cast, stop, that line shoots up. What I don't want to do is just shoot it out there and let it go, because then I'll lose control of it. So I don't want to shoot it out here and let it go, because then it'll start bouncing around and end up wrapped around my reel at the worst possible moment. I want to always keep control of my line as I'm shooting it out. Now the two most common mistakes I see when we're trying to shoot line is doing it much harder at the very end. So we get a false cast and we go, okay, now I'm going to get it out there. And it'll always end up falling shorter when you do that, because it overbends the rod, it destroys my loop shape, and you cannot throw it hard enough to make it go out far. So we're not going to add any extra power. The second thing is slamming the rod tip down. Instead of stopping up here, we go, okay, now I'm going to get it to go out farther, and you slam the rod tip down into the water, which is exactly where the line goes and ends up falling in a pile. So as we move this thing back and forth, we're going to stop, let it go, follow through to the water. Right away I'm sticking it underneath my index finger so I can begin fishing, stripping, doing whatever I need to do. I always have that thing under my finger. When I'm casting, I release it from that finger. Left hand follows the reel, stop, shoot, under my finger. So try shooting some line. I'm going to move over here to the water at a much wider view so you can see what that looks like. Watch the whole thing up in the air. So here I have 50 feet of fly line outside my reel. There's a mark that I put on my line, so 50-foot mark. I have about 20 foot outside my tip of my rod. I'm going to come up, out, up, out. And you can see all that line shot out. There's my 50-foot mark. It all came up off the ground, shot out through the guides. So now I'm going to do that once more. So I stripped it in, I was fishing, I didn't get a bite. Up, out, up, out. I follow it through to the water, so I'm always ending up down here. I can strip, fish, 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 fish. Maybe I see something over there I need to get it to. Up, out, up, out. Follow through the water. There's always a follow through, and make that stop, and then there's a follow through.